Neil would refer to a feel like that as a Duga. You know, whenever he would present a song, and Paul and I'd say, "What sort of feel do you think works under that?" He'd say, "I think it's a bit of a Duga." Duga in Split Enz was Duga. You know, and there are always things like, you know, "Summer baby walking down the street, I see red, I see red, I see red." And they did a lot of Duga. And Paul and I weren't as good at doing Duga as Split Enz. That's one of the reasons why we ended up kind of mid-tempo. We were great at kind of grace, kick and snare, almost fall on the floor type rhythms with a bit of a shuffle thrown into it. Right. You've got a question?
I was going to ask you, were you ever nearly in Hunters and Collectors at all?
What was that?
Were you ever nearly in Hunters and Collectors?
I was that close.
Was there ever a discussion about it at all?
Mark and I were the original Hunters and Collectors. What happened was Mark had a band called the Jetsons. And the Jetsons had a singer called Margot O'Neill, who's now a journo for the ABC, or was for a time. They were a Melbourne University band, you know, they all lived in college digs at Ormond College. And they had this band at the weekend. They called themselves the Jetsons, and Mark had decided that he wanted to go to the next level. He wanted to be in a rock band that would play at the Crystal Ballroom. A mate of both Mark's and mine, Greg Pirano, had just come back from London where he'd been for a couple of years. But before Greg got back, Mark and I and Stefan from the Reels, the drummer, the French drummer, and Jeff Crosby, who's now an architect who was in Hunters and Collectors, we started Hunters and Collectors, but we called ourselves BAM, B-A-M. And we never played a gig. Because Mark went back to the Jetsons with all of BAM's arrangements, and I couldn't go with him. And we shared how we would be, and it was an incredible heartbreak for me, because I thought we were fantastic, and I loved playing with Stefan, the drummer. He went on to join the Reels. But it broke the house up as well. We had this share house in Fitzroy, and Mark went back to the Jetsons, but didn't invite me along as the bass player. John Archer was the bass player. And to John's credit, that band was built around bass. Hunters and Collectors are the most bass-oriented band I've ever heard. I mean, he's not really like a Jaco Pastorius, but Hunters and Collectors are based on the bass guitar. That's what the whole thing is, in my opinion. It's all about the bass, not the treble. Yes?